Hey guys, thanks for joining me for this 38th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests in this episode include actor William Sadler. We'll be talking about the new movie Alice Fades Away, which is available now. We'll also talk with country singer and songwriter Andrew Beam. Has a new single, You Should See the Other Guy, plus new album that is upcoming. We'll also talk with author Elke Scholz about her book Anxiety Warrior. And we'll visit with Texas country artist Landon Heights' debut single, Lead Me On, available right now. Of course, if you would, please take the time to subscribe, drop a like, comment, leave some feedback, and of course, share with your friends. Well, after the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry interview, footage of Duchess of York Sarah Ferguson has resurfaced in which she told Oprah Winfrey that royal life is, quote, not a fairy tale. Now, Sarah Ferguson was married to Prince Andrew, but they later separated and finally divorced. So her actually life wasn't a fairy tale, but she definitely heard him read plenty of fairy tales to his new girlfriends. Now, the interview took place back in 1996, which is about 10 years before most of Prince Andrew's current girlfriends were born. Well, our first guest is actor William Sadler. Got a brand new movie we'll be talking about that's available now, Alice Fades Away. Like I mentioned to him before we came on the air, been a fan of his work. I guess Bill and Ted's was probably whenever I was introduced to him. William Sadler on the line with us. And William, first off, thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, William, obviously something new to talk about. Got a stunning thriller. It's labeled Alice Fades Away. And tell us a little bit about your involvement in this and how excited you are about having some new work, especially in light of all that we've gone through in the last 12 months.
I think it's amazing that anything has gotten done in the last year. This has been just a horrendous year for the country and for my industry as well. But Alice Fades Away is a terrific thriller. Folks who like, I don't know. It's like it takes place in like the Great Gatsby period in America. So the costumes are fantastic. Just after World War I, and America was still pretty old. And it involves kidnapping. It involves murder. It's a terrific thriller, and I play a character who's wealthy, powerful man who's finally run into something that he can't buy and he can't fix. He's trying to get his grandson back, and it's tearing him apart. So it was great fun to do. I was very pleased the way it came out.
For you, William, the challenge of taking on a new body, is that what keeps you inspired as you continue on? I
think so. I'm drawn to characters. I guess I've been called a character actor. I think all my favorite actors are character actors. I mean, Meryl Streep creates characters, and Dustin Hoffman creates characters, and I'm just blown away. It's half the fun of doing this. So yeah, every time you pick up a new script, there's a new set of challenges, and you get to use different colors in the crayon box. So.
And of course, William, folks know you from some very big films as well. But for you, is the role that you play, are there any of those that stick out that maybe wouldn't be the ones that people would necessarily pick for you?
Well, I'm not. When I did Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey back in '91, I had played so many villains, one after. When I got to Hollywood, and they just decided I was this, this cold-blooded, murderous guy who, in Die Hard 2, who'd kill everybody in the room and then sit there and eat a sandwich. And when Bill and Ted came along, I got a chance to be funny. And I've always had a fun sense of humor. I did stand-up comedy back in high school, and I finally got and my theater career is full of Neil Simon plays, and Bill and Ted came along, and I had a chance to be funny in a film, And I sort of jumped on it with both feet.
Yeah.
and it worked out well. That's the one, I guess. I had to convince a lot of people that it would be, that I would make a good dad.
Do you find the stage, like you talked about being so much on the stage, do you find it more of a challenge character-wise in the stage productions or going to a set each day? Is one more difficult than the other for you?
Well, they're very different. Doing stage work is more difficult. It's more strenuous because you have to physically show up at the theater an hour early and warm yourself up. You're going to do 2 hours or whatever the play lasts. With no one can yell cut. You're not going to. You have to cook it up 8 times a week. The audience that sees it Wednesday morning at the matinee wants to see the same play that the critics saw opening night 6 months ago. So it's a different. It is more strenuous. It's exhausting, but at the same time, it's that excitement of. When it works, when the audience comes along with you and you all have that experience at once live in the room, it's enormously powerful. It's great fun.
And William, we've talked about the extent of your career going back 80s, 90s as well. What would you, if you had the chance to go back and tell younger William, what advice would you give to the younger yourself?
If I could go back, this is like what Morgan Freeman says at his parole hearing. If I could talk to that young man, I would tell him. If I could talk to young Bill Sadler, I'd tell him to relax. Don't fuss and fret and keep firing your agents and yelling at casting people, and it's going to work out. You'll be fine. The more fun, because the more fun you have doing it, the more fun people have watching it. It just works that way. No one wants to see no one wants to watch you suffer. So yeah, I guess that's what I would say. Just chill, relax, be patient, have fun.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride, because it's quite a ride.
That's right.
Don't miss it. No.
The new movie, Alice Fades Away, available on video on demand platforms. And William, I always want to make sure and let folks know where to keep up with not only the film, but everything else you've got going social media wise as well.
I'm on Facebook. You can Google William Sadler, and I'm on Twitter at WM_Sadler. I'm not on Instagram anymore, but you can find me in those. Also, I started a YouTube channel where I play songs, and I tell stories about the movies, looking back over this long checkered career. And that's called William Sadler, The Kitchen Tapes, if you want to check that out.
All right. Well, William, I will be checking that out here in just a little bit. Well, William, it's been great to visit with you today. I truly, like I mentioned before, been a fan of your work for many years. Wish you continued success, and hopefully we'll catch up again real soon.
Well, thank you very much. You stay safe out there.
Well, it is March, and apparently everyone's fairly indifferent about it. A new survey asked people to name their favorite and least favorite month, and March didn't get a ton of votes either way. 4% of people said it's their favorite, 6% said it's their least favorite. Now, the big winner is October. 15% of people say it's their favorite month, and only 3% say it's their least favorite, which is the best ratio of good to bad of any month in the study. On the other end of things, only 3% of people say January is their favorite month versus 26% who say it's their least favorite, which is the worst ratio. Now, the full rankings based on the difference between people who say it's their favorite month versus people who say it's their least favorite. Number 1, October, followed by May, June, July, September, April, December, November, March, August, February, and January. Our next guest on the podcast, country singer and songwriter, hails from the beautiful country of North Carolina. Andrew Beam on the line with us. And first off, Andrew, great to meet you this morning.
Absolutely, same. Looking forward to talking to you today, and thank you for having me on here.
And actually, it's hard to get used to afternoon, but for a morning radio guy, anyway, it is slightly afternoon. But Andrew got the single "You Should See the Other Guy," and that just seems like the end of a story, is what that sounds like. And I'm sure that's got a little story behind it as well for you.
For sure. So we wrote that song in 2018. My producer called me, and I remember I was sitting at my desk actually at the time, and he said, "I got this idea for a song. Are you familiar with Glenn Campbell's Gentle on My Mind?" And I said, "Well, obviously I know who Glenn Campbell is, but let me check it out." So I want to write this song 10 years later, 15 years later for that character in that song. It's basically kind of going from town to town. He's got a sleeping bag stashed behind every girl's couch, and everything's cool. And it's listen to the song. It's actually a very carefree song. And he said, "Man, this guy's a jerk. I don't like that." So he said, let's start it out, so the listener really doesn't know, just from looking at the title and listening to the first verse, like, is this guy been in a fight or what's the deal? But it's really about, basically, you should see the other guy that I wasn't. And so you're looking at the other guy who was perfect and gave this particular female that you messed up your chance with the best life she could have possibly had.
Now, for you, bringing music out, especially a debut in the midst of pandemic, COVID, whatever you want to call it, what kind of challenge has that thrown in the works that you kind of expected to begin with?
I guess I would expect nothing less. I think from the start of me doing music in May of 2018, if it could go wrong, it'll go wrong. But somehow that's led us on the right path. So in some ways, it just kind of seems right. Now, granted, we were supposed to have had this whole entire album out last year. But we ended up writing another song. I think there's just one or two that we put on there, ended up adding to it during the shutdown that we wrote. So everything happens for a reason, for sure. So from the start, I was going to go by Beam, not Andrew Beam, just Beam. That's what everybody calls me. There is a rapper named Beam, and which that doesn't matter, but the distribution messed up and put my songs under his profile, which matters tremendously because all 150,000 monthly listeners clicked on my song and put me in an underground rap algorithm.
Oh.
So for an entire year, now keep in mind, I started doing this full time in May of 2018. So for an entire year, nobody could find our music. And so then my Instagram is still Beam Country, and people in Charleston, I'm based out of Charleston, South Carolina. People in Charleston started calling me Beam Country, and it's kind of stuck. And for me, it was a way to get out of the rap algorithm, hopefully. So we went by that, and as it got bigger, the obvious thing is, well, what is Beam Country? If you saw it, you got it. If you never seen me or didn't know me or what, it's like, is this guy seriously going by that? Like, what's the deal with this? And sponsors included. So I had people advertising me as Andrew Beam, and I'm like, man, you can't find the music on this. It's craziness. So we ended up just going the path of least resistance, and we switched distribution and changed the stage name to just me. So it's Andrew Beam. And that happened the week before COVID hit.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Now,
so we were headlining a bunch of stuff and everything, just like everybody else this past summer. So for honestly, to answer that question about, dropping in the middle of the pandemic, it just kind of fits our story, I think. So but I'm ready. I can kind of feel the tides turning. I had a great weekend on the road this past weekend, and ready to get after it. Now,
did you ever think of taking the algorithm and maybe working a little more bro country in, if you will?
Absolutely not. So I was a game warden before I did music. And I've told that story a lot, but I remember, I don't know, I guess just traditional is the route I like to take, but it's the only thing I know. I mean, I always listen to that. And for me, that's just everywhere I played, everybody likes that sound, which is great because that's really just where it lives in here in me. But I remember a buddy of mine we were watching the ACMs when I was actually an old roommate of mine. And he said, man, he paused the TV and said, you need to quit your job and go do this. He's like, there's a lot of people that he said, this isn't country. And I'm not the kind of, I mean, I wish everybody all the success in the world. And there's a lot of successful people out there that they're singing bro country, but to each their own. But I'm going to do me, and country ain't dead. In my opinion, that's kind of our slogan we came up with. And that's the first song on the upcoming album.
Now, Andrew, the voice, if folks haven't heard the music, I mean, just from the talking voice, you can hear the baritone bass hints there. Now, who was the country music artist that maybe inspired you?
I listen to a little bit of everything. So when it comes to country music, obviously, I mean, I remember when I was probably 4 years old riding my bike up and down the mountains, listening to Little Bitty by Alan Jackson, or I Like It, I Love It by Tim McGraw. And it's actually funny because that song was just on my Spotify when I pulled in the parking lot here. So I would say anybody from the 90s really has inspired that. I didn't really sing until I really was, senior year of high school, getting into college. I would say Eric Church probably had a big influence on that. But I'm from about the same area as Eric Church. So it's kind of one of those things that, I don't want to come across as being an Eric Church clone by any means. But it's just kind of, listening to that music, and we kind of sound alike. So I would say it's a big influence.
This basketball season, obviously being from North Carolina, are you Duke or Blue Devil, or Tar Heel, I should say? So
both my parents went to Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My blood is still Carolina blue, even though I went to Clemson. My dad was not happy that I chose to go to Clemson, but at the time it just kind of seemed like it was the right place to be, and I don't regret that. But I'm definitely, when it comes to basketball, Chapel Hill, but I hadn't followed them this year.
It has been a year that it's okay if you didn't follow him. Probably one of the roughest that Carolina and Duke either have ever had. But right. For you, as you go forward in 2021, got the album, all the other stuff coming up, how has goal setting changed for you going into the new year?
It's honestly about the same. We were that close to kind of breaking on the scene. But I would say that at this point, the only change has been now I'm just ready to play anywhere. Last year was, all right, let's get on this festival, or we're trying to go to Texas, and we're still going to go to Texas. I would say that's a real big goal. And we're just waiting right now for everything to open up between here and there. And so honestly, just any place I can play to a full capacity crowd and spread the name is the goal.
Now, how has the songwriting changed for you? Has the process changed maybe through Zoom and all that? Have you learned maybe some new avenues?
Not really, man. I'm old school in a lot of respects. I would say that my songwriting's changed over the last couple of years working with my producer, Joe Taylor. Before that, I strictly wrote on my own. And I still do that, but I think there's a lot to be said, especially writing with a producer, because you get it from paper to studio almost immediately, as opposed to I'll write a song and play it for the crowd somewhere or my buddies, and I'm like, man, that thing's awesome. You bring it in the studio, and it's like, well, let's tweak this here for this purpose, for the everyday listener. So I think that's probably one of the things that's changed the most. I would say in the last year and a half, 2 years, is really writing with Joe a lot more. And there's a handful of songs on the album that he and I have collaborated on. There's two that he wrote that I did not write, and then there's a couple, probably 2 or 3 that I wrote. But I really have not done a whole lot over Zoom. I played 2 Zoom shows during this, or Facebook live shows during this, and it was pretty apparent. If I could see somebody like you right now, it'd be fine. But when you're only looking at yourself singing, it's terrible. So it was apparent to me that after about the first, 30 seconds of the first song, I was ready to never do that again. So I like, that's why I do it, man. I like entertaining.
Whenever you're dealing with a producer like that, and as a solo songwriter as well, how hard is it to get yourself out of the way and really take advice without getting offended, if you will?
For me, not that hard at all. I think there's a lot to be said about understanding professionals and why they are just that. And learning from that. I think a lot of people get, just like you're saying, wrapped around the axle on, I got the song, I'm not going to listen to anybody. But I would chance to say about 95% of the time, my producer's right on that stuff. And proof's in the pudding on that one. I mean, I play a song a certain way and everybody loves it, but then I'm like, all right. And we kind of use live shows when and they're starting to come back, but before the pandemic, we use live shows to really see what hits people and how. But every time we would change a song a certain way, it was just night and day difference. It's like this song was good before, but then now I've got we got a song on the album. It's called Farmall 53 coming out, and that's April 16th. That'll drop. But when I played it after we changed it, there was a guy holding up a picture of a Farmall tractor on his phone. I was just like, well, here we go. So it doesn't take too long. I mean, I obviously hesitant the first single we cut a couple of years ago. I was kind of like, I don't know about this. But then when you A/B it, when the project's done, and then you listen to where it was before the producer gets his hands on it, there's definitely a big difference.
That's good stuff. Now, Andrew, if folks want to find information about the new music, the single coming up, and tour dates as those become available, where's the best place?
All right, so probably on my Instagram. So we got Instagram and Facebook. It's under Andrew Beam, or my Instagram is Beam Country. Beam like the whiskey, country like the music. You can get on my website, beamcountry.com. And just updated that this morning. So there will be, should be ticket links on there. We got a big show for the album drop at the Windjammer in Charleston. That's April 16th. And then I'm available on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere music is streamed and played, and it's all under Andrew Beam. So, and we got another single coming out. This is actually the title track of the album next Friday. It's called Selma by Sundown. And then obviously you should see the other guy already dropped, but then the full length album, 11 songs, it's the debut album, is going to be out April 16th.
All right. Well, Andrew, we look forward to that, and I appreciate you taking some time today and making the trek in for better Wi-Fi capabilities.
Absolutely, man. Hopefully we'll have that tackled here directly. I got a booster and got a new phone plan yesterday, so we got to make do out there. That's where you write good songs. So I live in God's country for sure.
Now, I'm guessing most people have done this. Do you ever hold your breath when you walk past people on the street just in case they might have the COVID? Well, does it help, or are we just dumb? Well, someone talked to a few experts about it, a clinical virologist in England and an aerosol expert at the University of Colorado, and the answer is, it probably won't help, but it might. Now, your odds of getting sick that way are pretty low because how long you're around someone is a big factor, but if they're shedding the virus and breathe right at you, it's possible. Even the experts admitted that they have both held their breath before as well. Now, in rare situations, they say holding your breath could help, like if they happen to cough as they walk by or they're speaking moistly on their phone, and I'm not exactly sure what that means. Breathing out could also help by blowing the particles away from you, and you definitely don't want to take a big breath in as they walk by. Now, MIT even weighed in on it, Medical Blog, and they basically said the same thing. Now, it might help, it won't hurt, so you might as well keep doing it. Now, just don't do it in situations where you might be around a person for a while, like in line at the store, because after you hold your breath, you tend to take big breaths in and out, which you don't want to do. We got a book to talk about that I think is truly timely right now. We've got Elke Scholz with us talking about Anxiety Warrior. And first off, Elke, thank you so much for the time.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here and really happy to share. So excited. Thank you.
Now tell us a little bit about where your journey talking about anxiety and battling against that anxiety. Where did that first start for you?
Well, very honestly. And I really didn't discover that I have anxiety myself until I was in my mid-30s. However, I did have it as a child. We didn't talk about it back then. I don't want to age myself, but, as a kid, I had migraine headaches. I had flu symptoms. I stuttered really bad. I had a speech trouble, and I still switch words around. I have a little bit of dyslexia, though it doesn't stop me from my passion. So here I am. And when I discovered it, I also in that time actually had gone back to school to get my master's in psychology. So currently I have a private practice. I think I manage it very well. I don't have it as often where it's debilitating. And so the journey was discovering it with my clients and, wondering how can we manage this, because it's a natural part of who we are as humans. It's part of our human spectrum of unpleasant feelings. And how could this be useful? So that was really a passion to pursue that.
And we talked about being so timely. And I notice myself, even as I come upon people again, notice the anxiousness in myself. And are you noticing it more in the folks that you're seeing as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The past year has been hard on all of us. And I just actually wrote my MPP last week, because what's happening too is, here we are as therapists and life coaches and supervisors and psychologists, and we're trying to keep everybody in a good place and give them strategies. And what I'm noticing is that team is breaking down. And yes, we all feel it. I have been stretched more mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, more than I ever have in this past year. And I do notice it with my clients. Absolutely.
What do you find is the biggest key with dealing with anxiousness and anxiety about the unforeseen? Is the unforeseen usually what folks are the most anxious about?
Well, interesting. Yes, a lot of people are unhappy about the uncertainty, and yet when we talk it through, Cameron, we don't really have anything that's certain in our lives. So I think a lot of people have come to terms with that life was uncertain anyways, and maybe they had been a bit more complacent. So my encouragement is to bring us more present. What's right in front of us today, what is here right now, with you and I, not so much yesterday or what's going to happen in the next few weeks, right? So really, really concentrating on the present. So that actually has helped people. The other thing, though, you asked about, this kind of pileup, and there's things on people's plates that I say it's like an extra sack of potatoes, like whatever we were struggling with before, whether it was self-consciousness or self-doubt, is now we have more on us, whether it's finances or, hypervigilance. That alone is stressing everybody. It's putting us in a different place.
And can you equate what you've seen over the last 12 months on the psychological side, not the medical side, but on the psychological side, on anything that you've encountered before?
Well, truly, it's heartbreaking. It actually gets me quite emotional because I don't think we've handled it as best as we could, and mentally, and just psychologically, it's been devastating. And I'm not really sure how we're going to recover. And I think that makes me even more passionate. And I'm so grateful, for an opportunity like this. We've got to really pull in our resilience and build ourselves. And I think they're life skills that will help us thrive. And more than ever, we've got to do that. So yeah, it's been, I don't want to sound doom and gloom, but the stats psychologically are pretty devastating. And I think that's what's, it's hard. We try not to dwell on it, but that's, what I've been appealing to our own politicians is like, we've got to really make some different changes, because how are we going to recover from this? And that's been my question. And yeah, it's affecting all ages as well. So
now, has the stigma of going to see a psychologist, psychiatrist, when you're dealing with the issues, has that stigma gone away at all over the last few years in your mind, I should say?
No, I call it therapy schmerapy. I highly respect any person that walks through the doors of my office. As I take it very sacred and special, because people have said to me, it's like the 25-pound, telephone. People have phoned me. They've told me that they've tried to call 30 times, maybe 10, 15 times, and they've hung up the phone because it's so scary. And even parents are concerned, how do they explain it to children? And a lot of what I do, if you want to give it a different name, is coaching. A lot of what I do is teaching, facilitating, giving people skills. There's so much, and I think that's what prompted the book. And I'll tell you, being a public speaker was not on my bucket list, though my passion for this doesn't have to be so difficult. And I started doing public talks just around town here because I felt like this broken record with these strategies. And of course, I was getting such great feedback. And I give out handouts when I talk. And one day I came home and there was enough for a book. And I just thought, you know what, we've got to get this message out there, because I don't know how you guys are, but we always fall short. There's lots of people that are really trying to help people, but there's not enough of us to give these strategies. So that's why I get excited about doing a show like this, because we get to reach more people.
Tell our listeners a little bit about the Anxiety Warrior Project as well, and how that came to fruition.
Well, again, once I produced the first book, I thought, how are we going to launch this? And what I did was I went around to the community, and it became a huge event for 3 years. The community pulled together, and there were so many resources that we had. And so it became this project and event, and lots of locals bringing in their own strategies and helping and sharing. So it was pretty incredible, actually, and life-changing, actually, for anybody that attended.
And as we went through 2020 with all the wonderment that was there, how has goal changing or goal setting changed for you coming into 2021 and beyond?
Well, you know what? That's a great question, Cameron, because I always wanted to do book talks and be worldwide. And when I got approached last year, and I've always said no to blogs. I've always said no to Zoom, and I've always said no. And then I went, you know what, I've got to say yes, because this is another way to help people. So I built another website, which is totally free for people, anxietywarrior.ca. It has lots of resources. People don't have to sign up. They don't have to pay. They can just go get what they need. And so that's an active service. And then the other thing, I did hire a technician because all this stuff is so overwhelming for me. It's like another language. And so for me, we put out 18 YouTubes. And again, they're all free, and each one has a different title of what that YouTube covers. So people can go online. They can have like a little mini lesson or a mini session, and some of it's art therapy, some of it's strategies, some of it's journals. It's we're pretty excited about it, and so again, that's what's changed for me. So I'm actually really excited about that prospect, and hopefully I'll still get to do book tours. I enjoyed that when I did it, and however, this works too. You know, if this is helping people, then I'm just super pumped about it.
And how do we mentally prepare for the changes whenever the new normal isn't what we were hoping it was going to be?
I don't know what is normal, actually. I think the best thing we can do, and this is not something I came up with. I wish I did. It's based on a circle, and it's our Indigenous. It's based from their circle. However, it's worldwide in many different genres or philosophies, perhaps. And what we need to do is support ourselves physically. We need to support ourselves mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And we need to do that every single day. And I don't know, every person, I think the thing is, the way I've designed the books is they're smorgasbords. I don't pretend to know what each body needs. However, what I suggest is, there's awareness exercises to be more aware of who you are. And the other thing is, trust yourself. Like, you've got to trust your body, not me, not the book. But when you read something and it resonates with you and it works for you and it excites you, then that's what you got to listen to. So that's something we can do, and definitely, go through strategies that work for you. And that's how we can prepare, I think, for anything. And it's about life, right?
That's
like
right.
Anything in life. I mean, it's not just, what happened last year. It's anything.
It's whatever we're going through at that moment, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Elke, I want to make sure and let our listeners know more information where they can find about the book, the project, all of your other projects you're working on as well.
Well, thank you, Cameron. I have one of the books here. You can see the title there. Whoops, there, I can get it in the camera. So probably the easiest, and I hope maybe you could post it, is anxietywarrior.ca. That's easy to remember. I mean, they can check my website, but that website will also take them to my website. Anxietywarrior.ca also has all the links for the 4 books that I've done. And, Amazon, they're worldwide, and they're available as audio as well as ebooks, and of course print on demand, and that is really the easiest. And the other thing is there's samples of the books online as well, so if people just want to read a few pages, they can. The other thing is watch those YouTubes. Just channel in my name; they'll come up, and just use what you need, and just go for it. So that's probably, I hope that helps.
That's right. Again, the book, Anxiety Warrior, check out the website, anxietywarrior.ca. And Elke, it has been great to have the chance to visit with you today. Looking forward to spending some more time with the book, and I will check out those YouTubes as well.
Thank you. And thanks, Cameron. It's always so great to see the host. So it's lovely. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, Burger King really put the cliche, all publicity is good publicity, to the test yesterday. It was International Women's Day yesterday, and Burger King UK decided to celebrate the day by tweeting, quote, "Women belong in the kitchen." That's it. That was the entire tweet. Now, they followed up the other tweet saying, "If you want to, of course, yet only 20% of chefs are women. We're on a mission to change the gender ratio." And they talked about a scholarship program for female employees. But it was too late. The first tweet got hammered all day, and one person tweeted, quote, "Please don't use sexism as clickbait." And things got toxic when sexist trolls came out in full force to go after people who had problems with the tweet. Now, Burger King UK tried to defend the tweet at first, but eventually wound up tweeting an apology saying, quote, "We hear you, we got our initial tweet wrong and we're sorry." They deleted the "Women Belong in the Kitchen" tweet last night. Our next guest is new country artist, I guess you could say. We're going to talk about how he ended up in the Texas music scene, how he got there. Landon Heights with us. And first off, Landon, I appreciate taking some time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, man.
Landon, we kind of prefaced a little bit of a story into Texas country music. It's a bit of a journey to get here for you, right?
Yes, it is. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind, but it's been fun, man. So I spent the last 15 plus years in Christian gospel music. And to rewind even further, music kind of all started for me before I was even born. It was in my family before I was even around. My dad, back in the 80s, traveled with buddies all around the state of Texas playing country, southern rock, all that kind of good stuff. And then moving into my teenage years, I was turned on to Texas country through my sister, actually. She started finding artists like Stoney LaRue and Wade Bowen and Kevin Fowler. And so I started listening to artists like that. And then growing up, I just had a desire to keep doing Christian gospel. So I did that 15 years and traveled East Coast and West Coast, did tours and stuff like that, and then put out my first like full-length solo album as a Christian artist about 2 years ago. Had some EPs before that. And then just over the quarantine time, I had these country songs in my mind and kind of on pen and paper or on paper. And I was like, I might give this a shot and see what my dad thinks, since he has a little country background. And he was all for it, man. It's cool to have my dad support with it all, being a pastor and everything. And so this country journey started in September of 2020. And it's moving kind of quick. So we're trying to stay on board with it all.
Who would have ever seen in the midst of a pandemic having a genre change, right?
Yeah, I know. You get kind of bored at home and figure out what's next, man.
What has been the most interesting part of the changeover journey, if you will, so far? Honestly, the most interesting part is seeing how some things are the same. And that's like, I guess, like people that I've been that's had my support in the Christian gospel area have also like just jumped on board with supporting this country as well. Not necessarily like not getting behind it or anything, because they're like 100%. And it's like, I was like, wow, I was not expecting that as far as the move, but just seeing, and just a lot of open doors as far as playing with some of my heroes, man. I got one of the biggest artists I heard as a teenager, Corey Morrow. I'm opening for him at the end of the month, and that's just going to be phenomenal. One of my second shows doing country, I played with the Bellamy Brothers, and it was phenomenal, dude. It was insane. So, I think the big thing is just like all the support that I've seen, kind of transferring over into country, man. It's been really cool. And there's a place for the Christian message in country music, and there's the lines through so many songs too. So it's not that necessarily that huge of a cliff dive or anything. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I still there's a few songs that I have that I play country that are faith based as well. And so even though I'm playing 2 hours of full country music every night, I still get to throw in a little bit of my message and my hope in my songs. So I enjoy that a lot.
What's it like to get the feedback? I know it's got to be a little bit scary whenever you're going out in a different direction, but to the feedback that you get, I mean, how supportive has that been so far?
Yeah, the feedback's been good, man. With this first single we put out, "Lead Me On," back in January, it has been it's been a cool hearing stories that have kind of been through the same kind of heartbreak that I have. But also being able to give them hope through all their hard times, it's been pretty cool.
Now, for you, songwriting wise, what in a songwriting session for you, what do you set forward the most usually in songwriting sessions? Yeah,
so songwriting sessions, I always tend to come up with words before I do melodies. And so when we have, like, maybe we'll come in with a chorus and a bridge, and then we can end up with 3 different styles of how the song could go. And it could be a fast one, it could be a slow one. And then we would, sometimes there are ways we can write it. We'll settle down to 2 different ways and see which one, and pitch it to people, see which one people like better. And so that's kind of the way how we go. I just actually recently had a cousin of mine join me in recording for the new album, and we didn't even know he was a songwriter. So the guy's just coming out, bringing his notepad on his iPhone. He's like, "Hey, I'm just writing down thoughts and see what you like." And he's like, "Dude, we need to make songs out of these, man, because there are some things people need to hear." And so we're excited to put some of that stuff on the album coming up.
And for you to be out and playing, I know Texas Country has been probably playing more than most, but to have that opportunity, especially early on, I mean, you can't put a price tag on how much that means, right, early?
Oh, absolutely not. It's just it's been a cool opportunity to join the kind of Texas Country community and kind of see what kind of doors open up as far as what kind of friendships happen on the road, and just kind of reaching out to others. You know, I just started a recent friendship with Curtis Grimes. And so we're actually going to be out in Waco tomorrow night with him and doing a live music video shoot, and just it's kind of one of those things where Christian and country music kind of cross over with Curtis Grimes, you know, because he's doing a live music video shoot out there with his worship part of his set, which is really cool. That's cool. And so I think me and another artist, Holly Tucker from the area, is going to be out there with them. So yeah, that's been kind of neat.
Now, how much different is the songwriting process for you? Is it any different genre-wise?
I think for me, I'm really, as far as the Christian gospel, I'm trying to base my lines on scripture base and stuff like that can kind of blend well with people thinking about it in the church. But as far as like country songs, I'm writing about my real life stories. You know, I'm writing about heartbreak and just all that kind of stuff that just go like trucks. You don't really write a worship song about a truck.
Come on, we need to work on that.
Lord, thank you for my Chevy. You know, I don't think that'll really work too well, at least in my church.
Red dirt, praise and worship.
There you go. We could start a whole new genre right now.
All right.
I'm down for that.
So for you, is it more personal? The country music for you, is it more of a personal right then?
Yeah, it's definitely stuff I've been wanting to get off my chest for a while as far as the songwriting goes. I know Leading Me On kind of happened 13 years ago as far as a story, and then I never really put it out until now. And it was just like a little weekend heartbreak fling that turned into a hit song for me, which was really cool. And I thank the girl who did that. so
I think you're a whole lot easier now than then, right?
I guess so. There's no telling where she is now. So
that's funny. Now I know that you got your guitar with you.
Yeah, man.
Is the new single, is that what you're wanting to play for us or something?
Sure. I'll do a little bit of it. Yeah, for sure. This song's called Lead Me On. I wish I knew your lips would taste like an evil kiss. I didn't know you smile would break my heart like this. Oh, as we went to dance the songs about rain, I wish I could have been ready for the end of that day. My stupid ways just drag on. Up to not care, roll on. Go ahead and lead me on. Do what you gotta do and carry on. Go ahead and say what you gotta say. I'll fight this fight, push to stay strong. Do your best, lead me on. Oh, now your true colors starting to shine. It's not just me that sees the fact there's another side. Your crooked, mystic ways always know the right words. Heaven help me not to fall for the wrong girl. My stupid ways just drag on. Up to not care, roll on. Go ahead and lead me home. Do what you gotta do and carry on. Go ahead and say what you gotta say. I'll fight this fight, push, stay strong. Do your best and lead me on. Yeah. Oh, well, I seem to love your name in my mind. Yeah, those pretty lines get me every time. Go ahead and lead me on. Do what you gotta do, carry on. Girl, go ahead and say what you gotta say. I'll fight this fight, push, stay strong. Do your best and lead me on. Do your best and lead me home, girl.
That's good stuff, brother.
Thank you so much, man.
Did you have to do anything vocally to change anything up? Did you have to add any twang in your voice? Have you changed the voice much? As I guess.
Yeah, so a little bit. It involves a little more twang, definitely. So, especially if you're gonna like play a 2-hour show down here in Texas and cover some of your favorite artists, you got to add the twang to it more than I would on the originals. So yeah, and there's a little bit of my Christian gospel stuff that has a little country sound to it too. So it was kind of an easy switch a little bit for me.
Now, as this last year, the songwriting inspiration wise, was it darker writing for you?
Yeah, I feel like some of this new stuff we're about to come out with in the fall, like, involves a little bit heavier subjects, as far as love and heartache. But I never really had a good whiskey song until now. So, that's something, my cousin and I kind of put together that we're going to be releasing this summer. And so stuff like that I would have never thought I would have written before, and just to see the support coming out of it, playing it at live shows, it's been kind of cool. But yeah, I would say there's a little bit darkness to it for sure, being personal.
Now, as you start the new year, new music, how do you set goals for 2021?
Mostly just as they come, really. Of course, one thing is you want to play shows with some of your all-time favorite artists, like Corey Morrow. We played with Curtis Grimes in December on New Year's Eve when we put out the new EP, and so there's some stuff coming up we're really excited about. But as far as goals, I always want to put out new music every year, and so that's really the main goal right now. We're about almost halfway into finishing the full-length album. Should be dropping this fall, which we're really excited about. And we're also doing a version of Leave Me On acoustic with Holly Tucker. Oh, cool. But that's kind of a secret.
I won't tell anybody.
Okay, well, that sounds good. These people down here in Texas don't know that yet.
Yeah, there you go. Now, Landon, if folks want to find out as the music becomes closer to fruition and then the singles, the upcoming tour dates, all that stuff, website, social media, the best?
Yeah, website, LandonHeightsMusic.com, and then you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Landon Heights Music for sure. And I'll have all my dates and event pages there.
Landon, it's been great to have a chance to visit with you today, man. I wish you the best of success, and hopefully we'll catch up as things open up. We'll get somewhere here nearby.
Hey, man, that works out great. I appreciate that.
Well, thanks again for joining me for this 38th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, or anything else you'd like to know, find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at GQ with Cam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, click on the shop at gqwithcam.com/shop and pick up a great selection of merchandise that's available. If you have a special guest idea, you can email me, gqwithcam@gmail.com. Again, thanks to Brandon Allen for coming up with our theme music for Good Questions with Cameron Dole. We're going to let him play us out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday evening.